So I just come out of the engagement center, and this is the new holding facility to better prepare and help people in active addiction. And so there's a lot of that. It's quiet, but it's a lot. It's a nice day out, so everybody's running around doing that thing. That's the engagement center, all of the funny colors. But anyway, so they cleaned up what used to be the tent. The engagement center is basically the new tent, basically. And there's a shelter right next to that. So this is what it looks like, or some of what it looks like a year later. Has it gotten better? I don't know. Are these band-aids on a bullet wound? I don't know. I really don't. I'm just an observer on the outside looking in at what's happening. Why it's happening and why it continues to happen. And making people aware. Yeah. Making people aware of what's happening, why it's happening, and why it continues to happen. And this whole street, they have a lot of it blocked off on the other section. A lot of it is blocked off. However, business as usual. When you want to do what you want to do, you find a way to do it. That's the bottom line. What's up, everybody? This is Blake, and today I have with me Jenna, who is one of my workout associates at CrossFit. And so she's going to talk to us a little bit about her relationship as it relates to active addiction. Jenna?
Hi guys, my name is Jenna. I'm a nurse. I live north of Boston, and working in this area, I focus my work on correctional nursing and working in detoxes, helping people that are struggling with drug abuse, mental illness, being in the incarceration system. My husband is in recovery, which I'm very proud of him as well. So I've had a lot of experience down that path, and lucky it hasn't happened to me. It can happen to any of us. It doesn't discriminate.
How did you first get involved with people that are
I had no dreams of being a nurse. I never wanted to be a nurse. I was working in restaurants. I was partying, so I was around a lot of people that, we dabbled, we did things, but certain people, you either take the left or the right. You either do a different path or, I ended up taking care of my grandmother, so I figured, let me go back to school. I could run around and do nursing. It's good money. When I got into it, I tried working in the hospitals and doing the mundane nursing that everybody can do, but that wasn't for me. I quickly realized that my purpose in getting into nursing was going to be helping people with drug addiction and mental illness.
Do you see it often?
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
I've seen that when I look at Melnea cast, mass cast, or whatever you want to call it, that even though it's gotten worse, this is still pretty contained compared to some other places that I've got to experience. But this is the norm, no question about it. This is one of the many cities throughout this country that you will see footage of just that. Well, people that are just caught up in active addiction, you will see it, and that's just what it is. Tell us about what is it that what's the name of the movement that people do when they go into a certain physical stance?
That's a catatonic reaction, and they're in a catatonic schizophrenia at that moment, and they're holding a position. It's an involuntary movement of their extremities, their arms, their legs. They're almost paralyzed in that movement for seconds, minutes, and that's when you see that strange person laying on the road and, they're high, they're also having something going on with their body that they can't control at that time.
Wow.
Nobody wakes up one day and says, I want to live on Mass Ave doing what I do, you know, trying to get by another day. Nobody wakes up and feels that way. There should be better systems in place. When I worked in the detox, I worked at a really good detox, and I highly recommend anybody seeking treatment in this area reach out to Tewksbury Treatment Center. I know it's a little bit of a hike, it's in the middle of nowhere, but you know what? The staff that's over there, they try their hardest to get you set up in a program that's going to work out for you.
What about fentanyl?
Fentanyl is everything.
Mm.
There is no... When my husband went to rehab, he thought he was doing Percocets. I get so red. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
My husband was doing Percocets. I don't know how many a day, a lot. When he went to rehab, I don't know how he never overdosed, because when he was drug tested, it was all fentanyl, and he genuinely, and I can tell you this, thought he was getting prescription painkillers. But everything's pressed with fentanyl. I'll be damned the day weed's pressed with fentanyl.
Mm.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Great to see you. You know, we woke up, we made it. A lot of people didn't make it, man. So we need to continue counting our blessings. Count the days, but make the days count. You know, this disease continues to check in case you want to check out. So I'm moving in or I'm moving out. I'm building up or I'm tearing down. We go from the darkness to the light. God moves mountains, but we need to bring a shovel. They told me around here, yo, it ain't tight, it ain't right. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. And if it smells like cologne, leave it alone. Don't take it home, all right? So this is just a little inspirational words that I use, because they say words have power. And these are the 5 words that help me stay clean. I have 30 years and 2 months and 2 days in a row. Weeks and holiday, even when nobody's looking, one day at a time. It's commitment, obedience, discipline, dedication, and sacrifice. And what does sacrifice mean? Yo, what am I willing to give up today for my recovery? You guys said recovery is an active change of ideas and attitudes. So I constantly stay on my ABCs, attitude, better, change. So no one told you that they love you today. Check it out. God loves you, and so do I. And thank you for letting me saying hi to everybody. One time for your mind. Peace.
Yours.
I am attorney Lauren Rose. I work in indigent defense, which means I am court-appointed counsel in Plymouth County, and I work as a criminal defense attorney representing those who cannot afford to hire their own lawyer.
Okay. And how long have you been in this profession, Lauren?
I have been a licensed attorney here in Massachusetts for about 2.5 years, and I practiced under certification in Manhattan Criminal Court for a year.
Wow. Was there a point where you were intimidated about the kind of work you do?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It still creeps up sometimes.
Mm.
I come from a bit of a different background than other people who go into law school.
Mm-hmm.
So this topic is very, very close to my heart. I decided to be a public defender because this is so close to my heart, and I wanted to advocate for people who don't get the best representation in court.
Okay, so we both see the same thing in that regard. That's great. That's good to hear. And for all you listeners, I hope you're listening carefully to what she just said. Eventually, you'll be able to listen to this again. So with that said, Lauren, there's a lot going on in this country today, and specifically about active addiction when it comes to drugs. From all walks of life, from every corner of this country. Share a little bit about your relation and or connection to that, as it relates to your job description.
Sure. In my job, I oftentimes come into contact with addicts who are actively using or trying to stop using, on drug replacement therapy to abstain from using, etc. Part of my work involves Section 35s, which is very, very prevalent in Massachusetts. A Section 35 is when someone is involuntarily committed to a facility, a treatment facility, but those section facilities are run by the DOC, the Department of Correction. So when I meet clients who are being sectioned, they come into court in handcuffs, apprehended on a warrant. The petitioner has to be a blood relative or spouse. And my job as a court-appointed attorney, I should say, it's one's constitutional right to be afforded counsel, right? To get a lawyer if you're going to be held in jail or involuntarily committed in a Section 35 facility. So a lot of my work on days when I'm in court is representing people who are being sectioned by petitioners, usually their family or their spouse. And I have to advocate for my clients to not be sectioned. That involves cross-examining the petitioners, so mother, father, brother, sister, partners, and basically asking the judge not to involuntarily commit my client, which is very, very hard for me. I would say it's probably the hardest part of my job because I'm sure many of us know, and I'll keep it on me, but many of my clients' lives have been saved by being involuntarily committed to a facility when they were either actively overdosing or very at risk of continuing to overdose.
Let me ask you this, as far as your client base goes, have there been more than not of the other? Like women with children versus not women with children, older, younger?
Most of my clients have children, male, female, non-binary. I would say the majority of them have children, probably 90%. The majority are people of color. And I would say, to my knowledge, 50 to 60% have struggled with drugs and alcohol. Their cases don't necessarily involve that, but I would say about 90% or more have had a history in their family of incarceration and drug use.
So, do you feel like there's not enough funding for what you represent?
1000%. I waitress on the side because I am court-appointed counsel, so I get paid by your taxes, and I do not make a lot of money.
Yeah. Okay.
But I, very importantly, not to give public defenders a bad name because some people call us public pretenders, but I will say I went to law school just like everyone else. I passed the bar just like anyone else, and this is what I've wanted to do for years. I've always wanted to be court-appointed counsel. I want to help people who don't have money to afford private lawyers. This is my dream job. I love it.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. So you're very passionate about this that you do for a living. Well, that's good. That's good. So now, was there ever a point that you wanted to just say, I can't deal with what I see anymore, like I want to give up on this because it became too overwhelming with respect to those that are caught up in active addiction?
No.
Okay.
There really hasn't. In terms of addiction and crime, no. My clients are amazing.
Yeah.
They're human. They are multifaceted and complex, and they just want to be heard, So some people say that public service is a thankless job, and I completely disagree. I have great relationships with my clients, and they're always very thankful, and I don't want to give up. I love what I do.
Good. What drove you to that point that this became so passionate to you?
So I myself am in recovery for addiction, and I am coming up on 10 years clean and sober. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like I have to use my privilege in order to help other people. I'm white, I'm female.
No.
I know, right? Who would have thought? And I talked my way out of a lot of arrests and a lot of really bad situations. And so I am so privileged not to have a criminal record. I'm so privileged to be able to pursue academia, go to school, and I want to give back really what was given to me by other people who looked me in the eyes and told me they loved me and they believed in me even when I was not a great person.
Yeah. Well, that's integrity. It says a lot. And So with that said, let me ask you: you said Manhattan, correct? In the Bar Association in this state?
So I went to law school in New York City,
Oh,
and
okay.
then my last year of law school, I did a clinic where I was a student attorney in Manhattan Criminal Court
Wow.
under supervision. And then I moved here and became barred, right? So now I'm a licensed attorney here.
What was that like in New York? Much different from here?
It really wasn't much different. I would say the percentage of people of color was a lot higher.
Yeah.
Because it's so concentrated and the marginalized populations are so concentrated. Here I'm working in Plymouth County, so there are a lot more white people.
Yeah.
However, when you walk into a courthouse, I mean, it's noticeable how many more people of color are sitting in the courtroom.
Yeah. So if there were one thing that you could, let me back up for a moment. You mentioned harm reduction. Do you support harm reduction?
100%. You have to be alive in order to stay clean and recover.
So let me ask you this. If there were one, maybe two, maybe three things that you could bring to the table, by the table I mean the table where all the money is, and we know what that is, what would you bring to the table?
Oh my gosh, funding for transportation. People ask me this all the time and I don't hear about it enough, but so many of my clients are in warrant status right now simply because they cannot afford transportation to court to remove a silly warrant. I've had clients who've remained in contact with me for over a year who are in warrant status, living in New Bedford, can't get to Brockton. Living in Fall River, can't get to Brockton, right? Living in Western Mass, can't get to Brockton. And these judges, I'm getting a little heated right now, but the court will not allow one to remove a warrant virtually, even though we're doing essentially most other things virtually right now during this pandemic. So my clients have to find a way, if they can't take a train or a bus, which there really is no public transportation, in a lot of places in Massachusetts, they have to find money for an Uber, right? They don't have their licenses, they don't have family members. I mean, how can you get to court to remove your warrant?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
transportation is a really big one.
Question, what was your reason for transferring to Boston?
I lived here for a long time, almost a decade, and I got clean here, and so
Okay.
these are my people. I felt
Right.
very, very connected and wanted to come back here and work here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, Lauren, this was just what I needed to hear, and I'm sure for others who hear this. So I want to thank you for your open and honest responses. That's what I like to hear. I like to hear it like it needs to be said. And with that, thank you.
Thanks, Billy.
All right, everybody, this is Joe, and he's gonna let us know how it works for him. Talk to us, Joe.
What's
let the
up,
people
Blake?
know.
What's up, people? Listen, I'm Joe, and I'm an addict. If that's how I'm supposed to start out, I don't know. This is the first time I'm doing something like this. However, listen, I've been a dope fiend for over 30 years. I've been clean for 4.5 years. Thank you, God. However, I've tried it every other way than going to meetings. Every other way, I mean by methadone, Suboxone, Vivitrol. I've done all that stuff, and none of it ever worked for me. Every time I left the methadone clinic, I went and took a couple Clonopin, I took a couple Xanax, I was in a blackout, I was robbing and stealing and doing everything else. And then before you know it, I was shooting cocaine all over again, and there goes my whole life spiraling down back into the whatever you want to call it. You know, and I've been in and out of jail. 16.5 years I gave to the county of Essex and Plymouth and a few other places. However, like I said, I've been clean 4 years now, 4.5 years. And for me to keep doing what I'm doing, it's not easy. Some days it's real hard. I'm not gonna lie. You know, but I don't contemplate getting high. You know, I contemplate other things, doing other things to fix that feeling sometimes. You know, and the feeling is like, I don't know, despair, loneliness, fear. I have a lot of fear around a lot of things, you know, and that's why I'm alone. I'm always alone, and except for when I go to meetings. And I'm alone, like I said, I'm alone 90% of the time, you know, or me and my dog. I just got a dog. I've had it for a couple months, you know. But like I said, I am a loner. I do a lot of things alone. What else? I'm employable today. I have a job because I don't get high, you know.
Right.
And like my friend in front of me says, I ain't giving up my clean day for nothing, you know. And like I said, I've tried it all. You know, I was on Suboxone for a while, but I'd take the Suboxone, I'd sell it, and I'd shoot heroin with the money. You know, that stuff never worked for me. If it works for you, fine and dandy, but it doesn't work for me. And try being on some Suboxone or some Vivitrol or some methadone and getting a sponsor around here. It's hard to do. You know, people want you completely abstinent off of everything. You know, and I don't know, and that's their choice. You know,
right.
but like
Choices.
you know, choices, that's a whole nother thing too. Once I pick it up, I don't have a choice. Once I put it in my body, there's someone in this program that says, if you leave it alone, it'll leave you alone. And that's all I have to do is leave it alone. Just don't pick it up. You know,
Joe, that was powerful, man. That was very powerful. Thank you. And a lot of people, man, are going to hear this, man, and pay attention
It's
to
the
it because
truth.
it's very to the point.
it's the truth.
Personal stance, personal choices. Thank you, Joe.
All right.